Hello there, fellow dungeon crawlers, and welcome to the first video on my channel. My name is Überflieger Dungeons, but that might be hard to pronounce, so you can just call me Lawrence. In this video, I'm going to show you my contribution to Dragon Week. What is Dragon Week exactly? Well, it's basically a Dungeons & Dragons community event on YouTube, organized by the YouTubers Pointy Hat and Ginny D, where a bunch of people will make videos about dragons. There's apparently gonna be a whole playlist of videos which you can binge through, so it's bound to be a really fun time. This video is going to give a few tips and ideas for running a dragon-themed D&D campaign, and you'll walk away from this video with a few goodies to help you do exactly that. I'm talking a new dragon-based monster, a dragon-themed subclass, and a cool MacGuffin magic item. Let's get straight into it. Let's get started by introducing you to my subclass, the Draconic Cleric. My philosophy behind making this was the lack of class options for dragon-themed PCs and NPCs. Besides the Draconic Sorcerer and maybe sorta the Drake Warden Ranger, there isn't that many classes and subclasses to pick from. So this just exists to offer a bit more variety. So without further ado, let's take a little look at this blorbo I made. Draconic Domain, a cleric subclass by Überflieger Dungeons. Dragons were one of the first species to inhabit the material plane. They are incredibly powerful, can live for thousands of years, and many of them accumulate a lot of wisdom in their lifetime. Therefore, many people started looking up to dragons, viewing them as nearly perfect life forms. In fact, a small number of people became so devoted to their idolization of dragons that they gain magical powers from it. These people are referred to as Draconic Clerics. They see it as their mission to protect any dragon they perceive as a role model or an idol. This does not mean, however, that they worship all dragons unconditionally, because they will not hesitate to fight any dragons they perceive as doing the wrong thing. Contrary to other clerics, many Draconic Clerics are atheists, as they believe that one should not worship a creature whose existence cannot be proven. Whether a Draconic Cleric worships good dragons due to those dragons' noble intents, or evil dragons because they share the sadistic goals of the dragon, only each individual Draconic Cleric knows. Overview. This Cleric subclass is meant as an alternative option for players who want to make dragon-themed characters, but still embodies the core gameplay of clerics. Therefore, Draconic Clerics were designed to be good healers, good range fighters, and decent melee fighters. Them getting so many evocation spells is meant to be a nod to the breath weapons of dragons, and can lead to some interesting synergies and out-of-the-box thinking. They are, however, only really effective in campaigns where dragons have a large presence. Oh yeah, and before you ask, yes, the Draconic Cleric does work with the 2024 Player's Handbook rules. You just get the level 1 and level 2 spells at level 3 when you would get your subclass. Okay, so that was that. Now it's time to move on to the monster I made for this video. I was thinking, that a great villain can add so much to a campaign or an adventure. So instead of making a type of monster, I made a backstory and a stat block for an evil dragon character that you could use as the primary antagonist for said dragon-themed adventure. I presume you want to run because you're watching this video. So, it's about time to present you my bombastic big bad evil guy. Gloomkeeper, the Nightmare Dragon. Many eons ago, there was a cataclysmic war between the dragons and giants. From both armies emerged many legendary warriors, but one of the most infamous was by far an entity referred to as Gloomkeeper the Nightmare Dragon in the stories and legends written about this war. Gloomkeeper began life as a regular chromatic dragon, but even from a young age proved to be an effective strategist and fighter, which secured him the position as one of the generals of the dragon army. One of his main personality traits was his excessive pride, refusing to view any other life than himself as more or less inferior. This led to an unhealthy obsession with proving himself as the ultimate dragon, even if he had to do extremely unethical things to do so. He set his sight beyond the giants whom he was supposed to defeat, and began to slaughter several other species, as he discovered how to use the consumption of their flesh to fuel his attacks, making him slowly develop uncanny, unnatural abilities that even the other dragons were weary of, and also taking the phrase, "you are what you eat," a bit too literal. The source of his power also began to affect his physical appearance, becoming almost ethereal, taking on the appearance of dark thunderclouds with crackling lightning raging inside of them. This disturbing mutation landed him the title of Nightmare Dragon, which he began taking very literal at some point. One of his main abilities was to peer into other people's dreams using his incredibly developed arcane magic. He would use this to either torment or persuade opponents in the war, proving to be just as manipulative as he is horrifying. When the war eventually ended on a truce, Gloomkeeper was very upset, but still felt entitled to declaring himself a victor. He felt as if his cunning victories during the war would be the ultimate proof of his superiority and would get him the reward of ascending to godhood. This request, however, was rejected without second thought, which sent Gloomkeeper into a fit of rage, causing him to go feral on any other creature, including his own kind, as a twisted form of revenge. During the peak of his reign of terror, he plunged an entire city into an unending storm of darkness for multiple years, forcing the whole population of that city to obey his every word. To strengthen his power even further, he commanded several craftsmen and magic users to forge legendary weapons out of his own teeth, known as the Dragon Fang daggers. Paradoxically, they both strengthen him when he is in their general vicinity, but also serve as his greatest weakness, as they were made from Gloomkeeper's own fangs, and are thus equally powerful to him. This massive oversight would eventually lead to his inevitable downfall, as a party of adventurers rebelled against him, stole the Dragon Fang daggers, and struck him down. However, they felt that simply killing him would not be enough of a punishment for all the atrocities he has committed, and decided to use an insanely strong spell to seal him in a remote location in the Shadowfell, completely taking away his ability to move. But even eons later, Gloomkeeper remains restless, desperately waiting for mortals to manipulate in order to set him free from his prison so he could continue his rampage of destruction. Tactics for running Gloomkeeper. While Gloomkeeper does make for a challenging opponent, his relatively low hit points might make the fight against him end too quickly. My suggestion would be to make him avoid combat for the most part, and make even getting to him equally as challenging as the fight itself. When he escapes his prison near Shadowfell, he will direct his wrath mostly towards religious places, as he is still upset about being denied godhood. This is as to not make him yet another mindless beast that destroys anything in its path without any rhyme or reason. In order to make him both intimidating and present in your campaign or adventure, you could let him use his ability of Arcane Invasion to both communicate with your players more often and to make the encounter against him more personal for your party. So, edgelord naming convention and creepypasta narrator voice aside, what do y'all think of this boy? I think he could make for a great villain. There's just a lot of story potential with this guy. Like, sure, you could go for the whole "the bad guys need to collect the artifacts to set him free" trope, and he was very much designed with that in mind, but that's certainly not the only option you have. Maybe the players could be the one to set him free on accident, and you could make a story surrounding the guilt that they could be feeling and making amends for their actions. I think that would work pretty neatly. Anyways, moving on to the magic item. And if you've been paying any attention, you know exactly where this is going. Not too shabby, right guys? I even made it evolve when in proximity to other Dragonfang daggers, and included a little drawing of it. These things are sort of intended to fill a type of collectible role? Maybe your players could go on a quest to find these weapons in all corners of the world, to prevent an evil cult from freeing some mysterious dragon or something along those lines. You could make it so that each player could get their own Dragonfang dagger and make the power of teamwork, or something equally corny, what makes them actually evolve. Also, the design for these things is like the definitive proof that I was a Ninjago kid growing up. So, Now that we have all the necessary resources, it's about time to give you a quick example for a hypothetical dragon-themed adventure. Let's get into it, people. The players find themselves in a city inhabited by an extremely influential lord. He organizes a large competition that requires its participants to travel to 3 remote locations on the outskirts of the city to retrieve 3 dragon fang daggers hidden there. The winner receives an impossible amount of gold. This leads many individuals to pursue the blades no matter what, even if it means breaking the law. Among these people are a trio of mysterious figures who seem to know something more about the competition than anyone else. Maxwell, a wild magic barbarian, who is just as collected and calculated as he is physically strong. His little sister, Asha, a draconic cleric, who has a big ego and a passion for chaos. And finally, Hank, a hexblade warlock, who is extremely cold-blooded but not particularly smart. Your party is also trying to collect the daggers, either to reap the reward or to uncover the secret of the suspicious trio. Later on, it's revealed that the trio were secretly worshippers of Gloomkeeper the Nightmare Dragon, and it was said dragon who manipulated the Lord into starting the tournament so that his lackeys would have a cover story to set him free and bring him back into the material plane. The exact details of the story are very much up to you, the Dungeon Master. Maybe the party are the first ones to find the daggers and the Lord tries to assassinate them when they bring him the blades. Maybe the suspicious trio find them first and release Gloomkeeper straight away, only for the evil dragon to instantly betray them and eat them to grow his own power. Or maybe the party uncovers the plan of the trio and the adventure becomes a quest to stop them while simultaneously learning about their tragic past and what led them to worship Gloomkeeper. The possibilities are truly endless. So, you got a magic item, a really cool boss battle, and a new subclass, and of course an idea for an adventure of this video. I hope that this inspires you to use these and run a D&D campaign. It would be greatly appreciated if you would playtest these things I made for this video and give me some constructive feedback in the comments. I'm very new to making D&D 5e content, so I really hope you like it. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, because it isn't a question of if I will return, but more of a question of when. I hope you enjoyed the video, and a big shout out to Pointy and Ginny for making such a great community event, and also a shout out to every other creator who participated in Dragon Week. Peace, everybody.